My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live, and yes, this is the final T20 International of the year. India and the West Indies will be stepping out at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai, where, just to update all of you, the homeboy has won the toss and decided to field first. Just in case you think I'm confused, no, I'm telling the truth. The homeboy, as in Kieron Pollard, the man who's played all his games, his home T20 games at the Wankhede Stadium, has won the toss, and the away captain, the chap called Virat Kohli, has lost the toss, and India will be batting first. So it makes for some great discussions, because throughout the year we kept saying that it's becoming increasingly a chasing game in T20 cricket. Let's see if my experts in the studio, Joy Bhattacharjya, Simon Doull, agree. Simon, not the result India wanted.
Well, it's a test, and I think it's a good thing. They want to be tested.
No, it's not a test, it's T20.
Yeah, well, true. But they want to be tested, and Virat Kohli says as much. He said, I can't control the toss. I can't do anything about that. We just have to play better. And in reality, all they have to do better is field better, I think. The catching and the fielding has been below par from an Indian standard, and where they have probably set that standard, it's been below par. If they're better at that, I think their bowling and their batting has generally been okay. If they can sort that out tonight, they'll be okay. And you know, you're always going to bowl first. The way this series has gone, the way the dew has played a part, every team is going to bowl first.
We'll come to some numbers on that historically, but obviously that was going to be a no-brainer. But Virat Kohli was right at the toss. He touched briefly on a few more runs on the board, but I think the obvious, the catching, the fielding.
Absolutely. The catching has been, especially the outfielding. And see, India has over the last 3-4 years been an excellent fielding side. And for some reason, it's really deteriorated. And especially the high catching. And I mean, even seeing somebody like Rohit being a boundary rider, it was a bit of a surprise because he's not really the fastest of guys. So, you know, they are missing the Manish Pande's. They are missing a little more younger legs in the outfield. And somewhere, I think they need to make that come good. And that'll be interesting because, you know, if you see the team also, it'll be interesting. This isn't the best fielding team that India can put out today as well.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at the team. There's two aspects to look at it. One from the fielding side, and the two changes. The lightning quick Ravindra Jadeja is out of the side, as is the leg spin of Yuzvendra Chahal. So in comes the reverse, the mirror image in Kuldeep Yadav, and Mohammad Shami as a wicket-taking option comes in. And we've got a few things to discuss about the combination. But I think let's park this for the moment and talk about the whole aspect, what we mentioned at the toss, in terms of world cricket, not just for India, becoming more in skew in favour of the chasing side. Let's first throw some numbers, and then I'll get my experts into it. Have a look at chasing sides dominating T20s. Look at the T20 internationals in India. 9 matches in 2019, 8 won by the team chasing, and just 1 loss. So have a look at these percentages, and it's not just India. It's round the world, IPL, BBL, all of them are telling a story.
Yeah, it's becoming a tough game, I think, to set. Nobody knows what's a good score. And I think that's probably more of the issue. Teams aren't assessing the conditions well enough early, saying, okay, this is only a 160 pitch, 170 pitch, and maybe getting bowled out for 140 instead, or chasing that 220, 230 when 175, 180 is possibly enough. So it's down to assessing conditions. Joy, we had a chat yesterday, and you mentioned one of the greats of the game, in Jacques Kallis, when he was with you at Kolkata. The first thing he would do would be come back and tell you what.
What kind of a wicket it was. Is it a 160 wicket? Is it a 180 wicket? It's a 140 wicket. And that's important. And you know, if you go back there, I have one more observation out here. Now, what happens when you're playing international cricket? When you're playing international cricket, you don't play at the same ground one after the other. You play on different grounds. So what happens is every time you're going and assessing the conditions of a new ground. Now, why are the percentages lower in IPL and BPL? Because the home team, after about 2-3 games, knows what their surface is about.
And therefore what they can set.
So they can set better targets. And therefore also you'll see during the IPL, in the beginning, teams chasing, okay, the extremely high percentage, skews up to 80. And then when you go closer into the tournament, what happens is they have a better and better idea of how much is enough on their pitch, and then the results start turning.
And wear and tear as well, isn't it? Later in the season,
exactly.
Drier, so many games being played. Some of those surfaces start to wear a little bit. The spinners play a bigger role later in the piece. And then setting a target of 160, 170 becomes quite tough to chase down.
Also, it gets a bit hotter. Dew is a little bit less. Maybe, you know, dew is more of a factor in March and April than it is in later May. But that's the interesting thing, knowing your surface. And in international cricket, you never know your surface. You're just moving from place to place. And it's very difficult for you to predict what the next one's going to be like.
Two interesting exceptions. One I was personally witness to in Lucknow recently. Those numbers are not put up there for Afghanistan. And Afghanistan quickly realized that the due, which is there in Lucknow, is there across 40 overs.
Right.
So Rashid Khan said, listen, we've got a good bowling attack. West Indies are a crack outfit. How do I beat them? Let me win the toss, bat first, puts runs on the board, and West Indies lost both those games.
Yeah, and put pressure on them. And that when you've got good spinners, and the other thing they can do, and I'd like to see more of it, is just have a whole box of balls. If the due is going to play a part, what do you need? You need 10 balls. Every second over, it's changed. And just keep them. Give them to the teams in the nets and say, I want you to bowl with this one for 12 balls. I want you to bowl with this one for 24 balls.
Okay, just hold on here. What's the date today? 11th of December. So last year, a certain Simon Doull was talking about, no balls being called by the third umpire. He's called it today. It's the 11th, okay? And so this is the day that Simon Doull has said this. Watch this happen in international cricket over the next year.
It'd just be nice. To me, take the due out of the game. Don't make it a factor. Have the best team winning games. And that's what you want. You want the best team. You don't want an unfair advantage just on the flip of a coin. Because that's not what this game's about. It's not what we love watching, to be honest. So have a box of balls where you throw, and they throw these balls to the teams prior to, so in the nets the day before, they bowl with one for 2 overs, they bowl with another one for 4 overs, another one for 6 overs, and then they just throw them back into the box. And those balls are all kept for the game, and in the second innings you throw them out there. Every second over, there you go. There's your 4 over ball, there's your 6 over ball. Let's not worry about the ball getting wet. Let's just play the game.
All right, you've noted it. You've heard it here on My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live, and we're going to keep these clips as and when all these little suggestions become law. But coming back to the aspect of chasing, some countries, we showed you a few countries, but there are some exceptions. And these are the ones where we find it's not always easy for the chasing sides. Pakistan, South Africa, New Zealand, Bangladesh. Let's talk about home ground New Zealand.
Yeah, well, New Zealand, I think some of our grounds are not easy to chase on. And that's simply because we don't have due, so they get a little bit slower, and the spinners can play a role in the second innings. That's one of the things. There are a couple of grounds, I think, that are smaller and probably slightly easier to chase. Hamilton springs to mind. It's a small ground, slightly easier to chase. Eden Park, what we find with Eden Park, I think, is that teams don't really know how to play at Eden Park. New Zealand know how to play there well, so they can figure things out. But people turn up at Eden Park and think, God, these dimensions are just crazy here. We don't really know. And they don't know how to bowl at Eden Park either. New Zealand know how to play at home very well. They know their own conditions.
That one diagonal boundary, sort of 45 there, is what, 50 something?
Well, if you're batting at the end, it's about 48 metres to play an uppercut over third man. About 48 metres or 46 metres.
Us amateurs would love it.
It's absolutely nothing. Sehwag would be in heaven.
He used to always do well in New Zealand.
Yeah.
He used to smash it out there when everyone else was struggling. He'd smash it out there. But yeah.
But what about the other countries? One is New Zealand. We saw Bangladesh. We saw South Africa.
Inexperienced. If you look at it, T20, a lot of them, if you see, are inexperienced batting sides as well. Pakistan is a better bowling side. It's not that great a batting side, has been. Similarly, South Africa has had younger sides. It's been a team in transition. Teams in transition. So what are you seeing? The older, more slightly senior teams who have a sort of solid batting order know how to chase. When there is 180 on the board, 190 on the board, they know what they're doing. Relatively more inexperienced sides, it's always better to bat. And, Afghanistan is a great example of that as well. What did they do? They said, look, our batting is never going to be our strength. Let's go there, put a total. Let's finish the game with our best asset. So that's the important thing. Do you finish? Everyone doesn't want to start a game with their best asset. They want to finish the game with their best asset. What's your best asset? That's what you've got to know.
So there's two aspects of this. You already mentioned know your surface, but you've got to know your team, know your own team strengths as well, which is what actually took us by surprise. Alistair Campbell, who's reasonably experienced, went out there, did the pitch report in Lucknow and said, no brainer, win the toss, bowl first.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, Rashid Khan goes and decides to bat first. He's going, what's going on here? They win the match, and at the end of the day, they realize why.
Know your team. And that's a very good point. Know your players. Don't put your batsmen under pressure by saying we've got to go out there and set a total when we're not really sure what a good total is. So let's put the bowlers under pressure first of all, and then see how we go.
What about the opposition? We showed you, I briefly cheekily referred to them as the home team. Because remember, Kieron Pollard has played a bunch of T20 games at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. 57 in all. He's never played an international for the West Indies, only for the Mumbai Indians. Today he captains the West Indies for the first time. As you can see, an unchanged lineup for the West Indies. And after what happened in Thiruvananthapuram, I think you'd want it to be unchanged. They have really found that mojo again, haven't they?
I would love to. I wouldn't mind seeing Cricbuzz replaced by another fast bowler. I don't think spinners are going to be that much of a factor. I mean, but look, these are things that spinners will find it difficult. This is a pitch where another good fast bowler would have helped. But you look at it, there are 3 Mumbai Indians guys out there. There's Lendl Simmons, who's had conspicuous success with them. Evan Lewis, who you have to say hasn't had the greatest of seasons. But he'll be looking to look out there and say that, there's an auction about a few days later. Can I just about do something a little bit more? And just cement it out there.
Also, Pollard wasn't in that World T20 semi-final, but some of the others were, and they'll remember it well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, Jason Holder's had 2 tough games. I know it's probably more of a bouncy surface at Wankhede, so maybe that's why he's remained in the side. Kimo Paul was possibly an option to come into that team as well. So they've stuck with a side that won the second game, and I don't blame them for that. Would have taken some courage to change it, but they possibly could have.
And they rate Cricbuzz very highly. I mean, we've seen what he's done in the CPL, and that's as a result of which he's always been craving to come and play in a place like the subcontinent.
Yeah, and also, if you don't want to change a winning side, if you want to keep that confidence going, I mean, and leave him in the side. They did the same with Kesrick Williams. After the first game, he had a really tough encounter. Yes. Second game, bounced back beautifully. So, I can see the validity in what they've done.
Well, I wonder if it's going to be all about the celebrations. We had the bat being signed off, and of course we had Kesrick responding with, yeah. So don't keep your lips sealed. You get to work, get your teams in there, the My 11 Circle 11s. That's what you need to pick. Get your combination right between India and the West Indies. There are limits to how many players you can pick. Get to the app, download it, and of course you need to listen to some of our advice that we're about to give you. Don't listen to his advice because he's actually playing against you. You've got to beat the big Saurav Ganguly, Dada Kavada. So the subject for our My 11 Circle expert advice today is which spinner would you have him? We briefly mentioned Cricbuzz. Would you have him? Wouldn't you have him? India have gone with a change. So we know the 11s right now, but what would your advice be for picking into that team? Would you advise them to pick Kuldeep straight in or Cricbuzz, Washington Sundar?
I'd frankly, I'd still go with Kuldeep. Left-handed leg spin bowler, how many times in a life are you faced? I mean, it's very difficult to, just come off. You don't get those kind of bowlers in the nets. I would definitely say that it's not easy to hit him. You need to find him out. And I think I'd go with him anytime.
Kuldeep in your 11?
I'd probably go with one of the West Indies spinners because they get to bowl first with a drier ball. So that's probably the only reason I would go with one of the West Indian spinners.
And they've done well in the last game.
Yeah, bowled well. So let's go with Hayden Walsh Jr.
That's a nice one.
Let's go with Hayden Walsh
Jr.
tonight and see what happens.
Oh yeah. Hayden Walsh Jr. What a story that is. Every time you think of that, sitting at the airport in Miami, was it?
I think it was.
Yeah, sitting at Miami airport wondering he could either get to the United States trials and get into that team or go to GT20 Canada and put his hand up ultimately for the West Indies. He chose the latter. That's where he is now.
The way he went. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's probably for him a dream come true to be involved in this side, but not, an opportunity to go to a T20 World Cup and play a key role as well. So there's always great stories around. I think that's another one.
Yeah, and the first reverse migration. So you've had so many West Indian players who sort of finished their careers and gone on to play in the US. It's the first time it's happening the other way around, which is
still playing, in fact. Xavier Marshall still very much in their 11.
Yeah, absolutely.
Xavier Melbourne Marshall.
Yes,
I just spoiled one of your questions.
Yes, you had to.
Yeah, well, what about getting some interesting numbers in here as well? Simon Doull was chasing our intrepid statistician Deepu for a certain set of numbers, and Simon, I think he's done justice.
Yeah, he's brought these numbers up for me, and I think what's happened tonight with the selection of the Indian team has kind of confirmed where I want them to go and where I think India should be going. Just take a look at what we've done is, this is 33 T20 internationals, okay, so the last 33 T20 internationals. What I want to concentrate on is numbers 6, 7 and 8. And look at the far right-hand column and the amount of balls faced, on average, by batsmen batting at 6, 7 and 8 for India in T20 internationals. Number 6 is always going to be a batsman of some sort. Now, in my dream 11 for India at that T20 World Cup, it would be Hardik Pandya or it would be Rishabh Pant. You know, that would be my team, I guess. So they're going to face very few deliveries. So I'm saying to you, go in with 5 genuine batsmen and your best all-rounder. Your best all-rounder is Hardik Pandya by a stretch. In your 5 batsmen, one of them's going to be your wicket-keeper, Rishabh Pant, and then just pick your best 5 bowlers. And it doesn't matter if they can't bat. Yes, it helps if Jadeja's one of your best bowlers and he can bat, Bhuvi can bat a bit, but they face very few deliveries. So it doesn't actually matter. Don't put your team together and worry about a bad batting performance by picking guys who can bat a little bit at 7 and 8. Don't worry about it. Bowlers win you T20 internationals. Bowlers win you games. If your batsmen aren't doing the job, that's what you need. And I think what India have done tonight in their selection is spot on. They've got 6 genuine batsmen, one of which is a keeper, one of which bowls, and then Washington Sundars at 7.
Yep, let's just confirm this for you, and that's exactly as the way we are seeing it right now. You've got Shivam Dube following Rishabh Pant in there. Washington Sundar then starts to get into that category of someone who's giving you your 4 overs always. Whether or not he can bat, that's a bonus in his favour.
Yeah.
Also on this pitch, to have 3 genuine fast bowlers and a proper leg spinner is a good... You have 16 overs of either fast bowling or the kind of leg spinner who will get some amount of bounce from this pitch. So it's... And remember, Kuldeep also, before his KKR days, spent a long time in the Mumbai Indians nets. For a couple of years, he was in the Mumbai Indians sort of transitional squad that they had, you know, sitting outside the IPL. So he knows this pitch as well as anyone. True. He spent 2 years on this.
And Kuldeep, again, is a kind of bowler like Yuzvendra Chahal, where you say out and out, they are bowlers. We're not going to start worrying about how many runs they contribute with the bat.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you need to...
And that's the thing. They are out-and-out bowlers. And look, every now and then they'll have a job to do with the bat, and you just hope. You hope that they might do something. You hope that they might pull off a miracle, a Piyush Chawla type innings to win you an IPL or something along those lines. But, you know, that may happen. And Bhuvi's more than capable of doing that if he has to do it. Shami can knock one out of the park if he has to. I'm not sure about Bumrah, but...
I want to look at that number again because there's only one thing that I have to say about the numbers that Simon was speaking about, and that's, if you see that number, I'd love to see this 7.31. So this is what we call average. Okay, There's another thing in statistics called standard deviation. So is this 7.31 a result of quite a few 5s, 7s and 10s and 12s, or is it 15 innings of almost 0 balls or 1 balls or 2 balls and then 2 big innings of 45, 50 balls? Because if it is so, then you have 2 matches out of 10 where 7 really matters and 8 where it doesn't matter. So it'll be interesting to see whether it sort of clusters around 7 or is it just either 0
Fair enough.
or 50.
We're
So it'll be
going
interesting
mean
to see.
median mode being separated.
And that's the other thing.
therefore,
In 33 games, he's only had to bat 16 times as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
So he's only had to bat 16 times in 33 games. So he's batting in less than half of the games.
That's interesting.
So, you know, it just tells me he doesn't have to do much. And on that one occasion when you might need him to do much, just trust one of your bowlers to maybe do it and do something special. Don't cover for it. And in this Indian side tonight, if you were to pick your best 11 for a T20 opener in the World Cup, Bumrah probably comes in for Deepak Chahar. Hardik comes in at number 6 instead of Shivam Dube, and I would have Manish Pandey in my team ahead of Shreyas Iyer because he adds so much to the fielding unit, and I think his form in Australia and New Zealand has a lot to be to like.
He also likes conditions where the ball
bounces a bit.
Yeah. He's good.
Well, let's talk about the man who at the start of the show I mentioned was the home captain, Kieron Pollard, knows this Wankhede Stadium inside out. His first time he's actually played an T20 international here for the West Indies. So who better to talk about Kieron Pollard than his colleague, now in the opposition, Rohit Sharma.
I think he's a very smart player firstly, and then now obviously he's been the captain of the team. When it comes to Mumbai, he was always part of our leadership group. Last year you may have seen when I was not available for one game, he captained the team. So he's always been part of the leadership group, and I know how he thinks. He's a very smart thinker of the game, and he exactly knows how to make use of each players that he has. So, and he's just trying to do that now. He's a very confident leader, and he knows exactly what he's trying to execute on the field. So yes, he's got a great knowledge about the game. He's played so many games around the world, like I said. So yeah, that helps him, handle situations on the ground pretty well.
Also someone who doesn't do or make predictable decisions. Again, I'll go back to that series briefly. There was a situation in the ODIs, it wasn't T20s, where Roston Chase, who had been given responsibility at number 4, got a 90, won them the game, but the next game the situation was very different. He went to Roston and said, look, I know you played well the last game, we're going to have you batting at 7 today because I'm going to go up there because they needed quick runs. And Roston Chase said he was surprised, but then he realised why Pollard is such a tactician.
No, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that's underestimated. He may not be the greatest people person in the history of the game, but he's a thinker of the game. And that's a really useful thing to have. And remember, T20s are so tactical. Over test matches, over a certain amount of time, skill will prevail. Okay. Whereas in T20s, even if you're batting a little bit, you're fighting someone a little bit above your weight, you can sort of maneuver your way around it. You see what Shane Warne did in year 1 in 2008 in the IPL. And so I think it's good to have a captain like him.
And what adds to it now is the fact that he's also starting to perform on the field.
Yeah, and I think you get the best out of Kieron Pollard as a captain. I think that's what the West Indies have looked for. They want a player that can lead. You look at the strike rate of just under 150, average of 35. He's a terrific player in 2019. So that's all of his innings in 2019, whether it be domestically or international. I mean, to me, he's the sort of guy that you want actually captain in a side, because I think at times, if he's not the captain, I'm not saying this for Mumbai, but he has a tendency to go missing. And to me, he is a leader. And some of these young players in this West Indies side, if he's going to lead them through to this T20 World Cup, this is what they want. He'll give them a rocket as well. He'll give them a kick up the backside if they need it. And he's big enough to give most of them a kick up the backside. And they'll listen. I would imagine they'll listen. So to me, he's the sort of guy that I think can really lead this West Indies side and do a great job of it. And not only by example with the bat and in the field, because he's a brilliant, brilliant fielder, but just someone who is always going to be involved in the game and always going to have his finger on the pulse of the game and really look up, get these young guys looking up to him. So I think it's a bold move. It's a good move.
Interesting the way he's spotted that personality trait in him. I think Virat Kohli is a lot like that. He's not someone who'd enjoy being on a cricket field and not being the leader.
Yeah, I think, he's evolved to that stage. He started off at this stage. I think now you can't go back and tell Virat Kohli, just go and bat. And it's true of only a particular kind of person. Like Sachin is very happy not being captain. Jacques Kallis was very happy not being captain, even though both of them were by far and away the best players in their team. But they were happy not captaining. Some people need to captain to be, give their best. And I think, Kieron Pollard is a good example, very good example.
I honestly think that's true. Kane Williamson is one of those, I think. I think he'd happily not captain. I honestly do. I think he'd happily just be a batsman.
Yeah,
and be out of the limelight.
Naturally the leader right now because he's the best player.
And not have to do press conferences, and not have to do all of the rubbish that goes with being a captain. Oh, yeah. I think he'd absolutely love it.
So who in this current New Zealand team would put their hands up to be captain?
In the Test match team, Tom Latham. Yeah. Comfortably. I think he would be a genuine leader.
All right.
Yep. That would be, but I mean, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
It's not going to happen.
Next New Zealand Test match, not tomorrow morning. The next New Zealand Test match, when you see Tom Latham walking out with that Black Caps blazer, you know where it came from. Simon Doull, right here on My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. But of course, he's answered a few tough questions today. The man who asks all the tough questions. It's his turn now. Joy factor time.
Absolutely. And I have a question related to the date. So today is the anniversary of both Sachin's Ranji century and debut. Got 100 against, I think, Gujarat. And then again got his 248, which is his highest test score against Bangladesh. But who was the first Bombay-born batsman, since we're talking about it, and even Prithvi Shaw's got a double 100 today, to score a test century? The first Bombay-born batsman to score a test century.
Interesting. Points to ponder. First Bombay-born batsman to score a test century. And of course for Sachin it all started with 100 on debut. But we've got one little bit to do yet. Our My 11 Circle prediction for this game. Remember, it's India who will be batting first. So who's going to be sitting on that My 11 Circle expert couch? Gentlemen, it's also a matter of India needing those extra runs. So are you going to keep your predictions going by that?
I am. It's generally a very, very good pitch at Wankhede Stadium. I think there's pace, there's bounce. The Indian batsmen will enjoy it. I'm going 193.
181.
Ignore him at your peril.
Yeah, 181.
193, 181. Is it politically incorrect to just sandwich myself in between?
Oh, don't do that.
No, I
You've got to
won't
go
do
low or
that.
high. Go low or high. Come on.
Cover.
Okay. Fine, I'll go high.
Ooh.
I'll go high. I'll go an even 200.
I like it. I like
I
it.
like it, yeah.
Even
I like it.
200.
It's as bold as your socks tonight.
Can I show them off?
Yeah, of course you
Okay.
can. I love them. I think they're fantastic.
Have a look. Look at that.
They look like
My
the old
Tetris socks.
What was that thing? It was the old Rubik's Cube, wasn't
Tetris.
it? Tetris.
This is a Tetris
Yeah.
sock. Yeah.
I like it.
I
Joy doesn't
wish they
like
all,
them.
No,
I just wish they all went out like Tetris.
See, we were different of
If you
opinion
want,
here.
the television screens are out there. The
Joy, what
video
is it
screen-
that you don't like about these socks? Simon likes them. It's
I
two
love
against
them.
one.
I love them.
They're very good if the lights are off and you need something luminescent. Otherwise, I don't know why you should.
Okay, for now, the lights in the studio are going to go off. But before they completely go off, let's remind you, 10th over is going to be Cricbuzz Combox, where we're going to just try and assess where India are with setting a total today at the Wankhede Stadium. Is it going to be 181? Is it going to be 200 or on either side of it? We'll see you soon in the 10th over. My 11th Circle presents Cricbuzz Live.